It was just before 2 in the morning when my phone started buzzing on the nightstand, rattling hard against the wood. I had been floating in that hazy space between dreaming and waking, so the noise snapped me upright instantly. Still half blind with sleep, I rubbed my eyes and reached for the screen glowing in the darkness. Sorry, lost track of time. I'm heading home now. Maureen. To anyone else, that message would have looked harmless, forgettable. But the moment her name appeared beside those words, something inside my chest clenched tight, as if a hand had closed around my heart. For weeks, I had felt a shift, quiet, subtle, but undeniable. Her phone suddenly lived face down on every surface. The brightness had been dimmed so low I couldn't read anything even if I glanced. She brought it with her into the bathroom and stayed in there long enough for the mirror to fog, even though she never turned the water on. She started buying clothes she'd never normally wear. Not flashy, just deliberate. She picked a new perfume, too, a scent I'd never once smelled on her in all the years we were together. A fragrance meant for someone, but not for me. And any time I tried to ask her about work, her evenings, her sudden changes, she shut me out with short replies, forced smiles, or irritation that didn't fit the moment. I stared at her message now, letting the truth settle in my stomach like a sinking weight. And instead of panic, something else rose inside me, a strange stillness, the kind that arrives when fear has finally burned itself out. I didn't call her. I didn't ask for explanations. With hands steadier than I expected, I typed 3 words. Is Daniel worth it? I set the phone down gently, like placing the final piece in a game she didn't even realize she had already lost. Then I lay back and waited. The house felt unnaturally silent, so quiet it made every tiny sound louder. The hum of the fridge, the faint tick of the thermostat, the soft push of wind against the window. My own heartbeat drowned out all of it. 30 minutes later, the front door flew open like it had been kicked. The slam rattled through the walls. I bolted upright. Maureen rushed inside, practically stumbling. Her jacket was only half on, her hair a tangled mess, her eyes blown wide with a mix of panic and anger. The cold, distant woman she'd been these past months, the one who kept her secrets tucked neatly away, was gone. Standing in her place was someone terrified of what she might be walking into. And she saw it immediately. Her suitcases lined up by the door. Every weekend bag, every tote, every piece she'd packed for those work trips. All zipped, all ready. She froze. Completely. Her mouth opened, but nothing came out. Color drained from her face as though every drop of blood had fled at once. What is this? She finally whispered, her voice shaking. I didn't answer. I didn't even look at her right away. I walked past her, into the kitchen, poured myself a glass of water, and let the silence wrap around us like something heavy and suffocating. She watched me, too scared to move, too scared not to. Every second of quiet told her more truth than my words ever could. She took a few unsteady steps toward the couch, her eyes darting from the luggage, to me, to the empty space between us where our trust used to be. Please, she breathed, just tell me what's happening. I set the glass down, turned to her, and finally spoke, calm, steady, unshakable. I'm done pretending you're someone I can rely on. Her knees buckled slightly as though I had physically struck her. She dropped onto the couch, hands trembling in her lap, her breathing thin and ragged. It's not what you think, she blurted out, desperation leaking through her voice. You're misunderstanding everything. Stop, I said softly. The word cut her off instantly. No more lies. I placed my phone on the coffee table, unlocked it, and turned the screen toward her. Dozens of screenshots filled the gallery. Messages, calls, photos, plans, every late-night text to Daniel, every flirt, every attempt to hide where she'd been, and who she'd been with. Her gaze darted across the screen, each swipe draining more color from her face. Her chest rose in sharp, uneven breaths, and her hands shook visibly. I didn't mean for it to turn into that, she whispered, tears gathering at the corners of her eyes but refusing to fall. It wasn't supposed to go that far. I was confused. I let out a short, bitter laugh. Maureen, I cut in, stepping forward just enough to make my point, but not close enough for her to bridge the distance. You didn't stumble into this. You didn't get swept away. You made decisions, again and again, and tonight you're standing in the consequences. She swallowed hard. I watched her mind scramble, reaching for the usual lies, the practice excuses, the emotional hooks she'd used before. But none of them could touch what stood between us now, a truth too solid, too towering, too undeniable. Suddenly she lunged forward, her hand stretching out to grab mine, her expression raw with panic. "Please," she begged, "just listen to me. Please." I moved back before her fingers could reach my skin. "Don't," I said softly. "Do not touch me. Not now. Not ever again." Her reaction was immediate. Her hand froze midair, trembling violently. Real fear, stripped of manipulation and control, spread over her features. Not fear of me, but fear of losing the version of me she always counted on, the one who forgave, who fixed things, who tried harder every time she pulled away. I turned and left the living room, walking down the hallway without looking back. She stayed on the couch, crumbling piece by piece, her breasts breaking apart, her entire world splitting open. She had spent months distancing herself, assuming I would keep chasing the intimacy she kept withdrawing. But instead of reaching for her again, I walked away. Her phone lit up almost instantly. First one message, then another, then a flood. Her desperate text filled the screen even though I was only a few steps down the hall. "Please don't do this. We can talk. You're overreacting. I'm sorry. Just come back. Please answer me. It didn't mean anything. I'm begging you." Her words piled into a frantic confession. She didn't have the courage to speak aloud. I didn't respond. Not once. Her crying grew louder, echoing through the house until it became the only sound left. I didn't move. I didn't go to her. Comfort is for people who slip up, not for someone who spent months crafting a life behind my back. Eventually the messages slowed. The calls stopped ringing. Only then did she realize there was nothing left to reach for. As dawn crept through the windows, pale light stretched across the room, revealing her face, drained, worn out, empty. Her swollen eyes flicked from the bags by the door to me, and in that moment she finally grasped the truth. Lies ripple outward. Betrayal poisons everything it touches. Her voice cracked, barely audible. "I didn't think you'd ever find out." But I had, and what I saw burned away every shadow of doubt. And in that clarity, I found something I hadn't felt in months: freedom. She sat there shattered, and in the thick silence between us, my silence, I felt the weight I'd been carrying slip off my shoulders. The doubt, the confusion, the constant second-guessing, all gone. The truth stood in front of us, blunt, final, and absolute. And for the first time in a long time, I stepped forward without fear, without hesitation, without her lies blurring my vision. Her world had collapsed. Mine had finally opened.